Most men are suffering quietly, grinding through life, numbing out, isolated, angry, exhausted, and the worst part, they think that it's normal. Now, these just aren't theories. These are lies that I've lived and I've paid the price for. But the moment I saw them for what they are, everything changed in my life, and I'm going to show you how you can spot them and then you can break out of them. So if you've ever felt like something's wrong but you just couldn't work out what it is, maybe you're like, I'm feeling this thing but I don't know what it is, or maybe you're doing these things and you've got these habits and behaviors and patterns and you're not really sure what they are or why they're here for, and it's just like you just know that there's something going on but you can't explain it, or you can't name it, or you can't tell anyone about it. I'm going to explain why in this video. I'm not here to make you feel good. I say this all the time. I'm here to free you. Now, my intention is not to make you feel bad, but my intention is to help you, to see you grow, evolve, and win. And as I say, sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth can piss you off when you first hear it because you know deep down that it's true, but you don't really want to hear it. Hey, it's Brendan. Welcome to the video. Now, these 6 lies keeping men stuck, disconnected, and unfulfilled are lies that you've probably picked up, and you may still think that they're true. And it's my job to help you break free from them because I've lived them and I've suffered them, and for lack of a better word, suffering. And I'm going to show you in this video why they may not be true and what you can do to help break through of them, and actually give you the truth on the inside and show you how to reframe them so you can actually start going, you know what, this is what was going on in my life, this is what now is. So the first myth, real men figure it out alone. I can't tell you this one. The amount of men that come to me and they say, oh, I should be able to do this myself. I'm like, well, if you should, you would have. But if you are at school, you don't go, I should be able to learn to read by myself. I should be able to learn to write by myself. I should be able to teach myself maths. I should be able to figure all of this out for myself. But we don't even think twice about it. But when it comes to our own life, we still go, oh, I should be able to figure this out for myself. Now I get it, right? I spent 6 years trying to figure this out for myself, figure it out on my own. I wonder how that worked out. I nearly ended up not being here on this planet anymore because I was too shy, I was going to say humble, but probably wasn't humble. I was probably too scared, and I just didn't think anyone else could help me, and I thought I was in my own world. And one of the key things that a lot of the men say that come into our programs is they finally go, you know what, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that's dealing with these things. And I don't care if you are rock bottom or if you've got a 6, 7, 8, 9-figure business. We go through the same things and we still have the same challenges. It doesn't matter what the external success is like, we still have the same things going on inside. Hey, it's Brendan. Quick interruption to your regularly scheduled video. I want to let you know of an opportunity that you have to go even deeper into this work together. Now, if you have not yet, please check out the description down below. And in there, we've got links to both Launch, our 3-day event, and also Ascend, our high performance mastermind. Now, Launch, it's our 3-day event, and it's the most ruthlessly effective event to change your brain for you to become more aware of the subconscious programs and beliefs that have been holding you back, and to teach you the tools, the techniques, and the processes to dramatically transform those programs and those beliefs and literally rewire your brain. Again, Launch, it's our 3-day event, and we run them 5 times a year. We also have Ascend, which is our 12-month high-performing mastermind for men who are committed to their growth and who want to totally recreate themselves. I literally want to send you a new birth certificate in 12 months' time because you've grown that much. So if you're a man and you want to go fast, you want to go big, and you understand that you don't want to put off living life at your potential, and you don't want to hold on to any unnecessary stress, anxiety, fear, worry, doubt, or suffering, and you want to be liberated from those habits of thinking and live life to the fullest. So check out the links in the description, take a look at the program information and the amazing success stories from the men just like you who have gone through some of their programs, and I'll see you on the other side. And now, let's get back to the video. And I can tell you now that the biggest shift came in my life when I went, you know what? I'm gonna get someone to help me. Because yeah, you probably could figure it out. Like, let's just say, and I'm just gonna use the sense of business, right? So you've got this thing in business and you wanna get from here to here. Now, if you try and figure that out for yourself, you'll probably get it. Like, I know for me that if I wanted to go from here to here, that I probably could figure it out for myself. But what if it takes me 12 months? Then it takes me 12 months. But if I can get someone to help me and then it takes 1 month, I've just saved myself 11 months. I've nearly got a whole year back. So this is the thing. And so many men come to me and they're like, man, I wish I saw you 20 years ago. Firstly, I wasn't even doing this 20 years ago. So I wasn't around, depending when you're watching this actually. However, the men that come into the programs and then they do it and they start going, you know what, this things change so quickly. And that is because they first go, you know what, I know that others can help me. I'm gonna humble myself and be like, you know what, I want someone to help me. So the truth is, isolation weakens you. Like, trying to do this for yourself and figure it out for yourself. And I don't mean just anything. I mean every area of life. Relationships, health, wealth, finances, career, mental and physical health, your ability to handle your emotions, emotional intelligence, every area of life. You don't have to try and figure this out for yourself. Because if you would have figured it out for yourself, you would have already. So stop telling yourself that you can't handle it. Stop telling yourself that you're not able to figure it out for yourself, or that you have to figure it out for yourself and no one can understand what it is that's going on for you. You have all the answers that you need inside of you, and it's someone like me or someone else, whatever you're doing, just get someone to help you, right? Because it's the quickest and fastest way. Time is the only thing that we have. So get time back by getting someone to help you. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. You'll never get tomorrow back. But the money that you spent yesterday, you will be able to get that back at some point in your life. And so I kept telling myself that I could handle it, that I could figure it out for myself, and that asking for help was weak. You know, I think about it too, like putting your in school, we're conditioned a lot through our schooling. It's like if you're at school and one of the teachers go, you know, who wants a hand? And you might put your hand up, and then one thing might happen and you get teased or laughed at because you get asked for help. And then only then inside of your unconscious mind, it's like, well, but asking for help is bad. Asking for help means pain. It's unsafe. People laugh at me. People judge me. And it doesn't matter if that happened to you or you experienced that happening to someone else, you still make those neural connections and those unconscious beliefs. And so then we can't really judge anyone for not wanting to get help, because it's in our wiring, it's in our programming. But I want you to break free from that. You know, this is why I'm so passionate about this, because it nearly put me in the ground, because I didn't want to be here anymore, because I was too humble, or not humble enough, I should say, to ask for help. And as soon as I asked for help, things massively changed in my life. But the truth was that I was drowning in that time. I was just like, I was suffering from eating disorders. I was suffering from not wanting to be here. I can remember I was working fly in, fly out at the time. I can remember flying in being like, man, I just wish this plane would crash. I was sitting next to the exit at once and I'm like, maybe I should just jump out, but I didn't want to take anyone else. That would have been a big situation. But I come to realize that all I needed to do was ask for help. And I felt the most alone that I'd ever felt at that time, because I didn't feel like anyone else got it. I didn't feel like anyone else understood what was going on. I was trying to portray this thing to the world that I had my shit all figured out. And the more work I do on myself, the more I realize that I really don't have anything figured out. You know, you kind of get to that point where it's like, we were just continuing going through our own stuff. You know, it's just different. You know, for me, back then it was whether to live or not. Now, my problems and my challenges are a little bit different. They've evolved a little bit more, but we always have them. So the moment that I let other people in, that other people help me, I stopped surviving and I started evolving. That's the key lesson that I want you to get, if I can give you this lesson, is the moment that you start asking for help, you get out of survival mode and you get into evolving and thriving. So strong men ask for support. The lone wolf dies in the cold. Remember that. And this leads me on to myth number 2. I just need more discipline. Now, I've said a lot about discipline, and don't get me wrong, most people do need more discipline. However, wait until you hear this and then go, okay, maybe there's something going on. However, I don't want you to go, you know what, this is all the things that's going on here, and it's not that I need more discipline. And I'm going to explain why. So I had a client once, and he wasn't massively overweight, but he'd struggled with his weight. He was 130 odd kilos, but he was quite a big guy. So I would say, 80 to 90 kilos would have been a good weight for him. So he was 30, 40 kilos overweight. Didn't look like massively overweight, but you could tell that he was. And he'd been struggling with his weight for a long, long time. So one thing is he kept saying, I just need more discipline, I just need more discipline. And once we got into it, I was like, you know what, it's not just discipline that you need. You need to start working through the unconscious programs that's holding you back. And one of the biggest things was, so he flew from away, he moved to Australia. He was from the UK. He moved over to Australia. And so he'd separated himself from his family. Now his family was quite overweight as well. They were all just working a job. So he already had moved away from them. He'd already separated. And this little pattern or this program of eating and going in those cycles of not fully getting to his ideal weight, it was the last thing unconsciously keeping him connected to his family, because it was making him like them. Because he was successful in business, his family weren't. They just kind of had regular jobs. He'd moved to Australia, so he was already different. And everything else was different except this one thing. And so there's these unconscious beliefs and programs, and when you got through them, you don't necessarily need discipline because there's stuff under the surface, okay? And so then it got to a point though where he goes, oh, there must be something else in the unconscious mind. There must be something else. And I'm like, no, now is the time you need more discipline. So there's a double, it's not just one, it's not just the other, but you've got to start and go, okay, cool. If I just go, I need more discipline, but you keep falling off, maybe there's some deeper unconscious programs that you need to work through first, and the discipline will just come naturally. For me, it was like, I'm a very disciplined person, and I used to be quite disciplined. I would work out all the time, and when I was going through some of my struggles, I'm going to talk about eating here, and I just kept saying, I've just got to stop this behavior. I've just got to make sure that I eat clean. I've just got to, stay away from that side of the mess hall and go this side where it's nice and healthy. I just need more discipline. But it wasn't that I just needed more discipline. It was what I needed to work out what was going on inside of me to create that situation and for me to go and feel the need to eat so much. And then the discipline that I'd already built just took me to a next level. So discipline isn't the problem. And see, I thought discipline was the problem. But what really happened for me was I had unprocessed pain, I had guilt, I had shame, and I had all of this fear of being alone and thinking that I wasn't loved, and it was just a big distraction from everything else that was going on. I wasn't lazy, I was just carrying too much baggage, and I just needed to drop those bags, drop those suitcases. That once I faced what I had been bearing for so long, everything got lighter, right? Discipline helps, but most men run on unresolved wounds and survival mode. So we've got to release those wounds and those things that we're surviving, and then the discipline will be massive for you. So when you heal the root cause of these things, discipline becomes easier, and discipline will then build habits, and the habits will take over from the discipline, rather than trying to push and use discipline to heal your wounds, because you'll never be able to do that. So I just need more discipline is the myth. You may need more discipline, but just go a little bit deeper and work out the unresolved wounds and the things that you're just in survival mode. And then you'll find that the discipline will help you so much more. Hey, it's Brendan. Quick interruption to your regularly scheduled video. I want to let you know of an opportunity that you have to go even deeper into this work together. Now, if you have not yet, please check out the description down below. And in there, we've got links to both Launch, our 3-day event, and also Ascend, our high performance mastermind. Now, Launch, it's our 3-day event, and it's the most ruthlessly effective event to change your brain, for you to become more aware of the subconscious programs and beliefs that have been holding you back, and to teach you the tools, the techniques, and the processes to dramatically transform those programs and those beliefs and literally rewire your brain. Again, Launch, it's our 3-day event, and we run them 5 times a year. We also have Ascend, which is our 12-month high-performing mastermind for men who are committed to their growth and who want to totally recreate themselves. I literally want to send you a new birth certificate in 12 months' time because you've grown that much. So if you're a man and you want to go fast, you want to go big, and you understand that you don't want to put off living life at your potential, and you don't want to hold on to any unnecessary stress, anxiety, fear, worry, doubt, or suffering, and you want to be liberated from those habits of thinking and live life to the fullest. So check out the links in the description, take a look at the program information and the amazing success stories from the men just like you who have gone through some of their programs, and I'll see you on the other side. And now, let's get back to the video. And this leads me on to myth number 3. Once I hit this money goal or this physique status or this level of financial success or success in any area, then I'll feel fulfilled. That is the biggest lie. And I think you could understand this, but we still say that. It's even still, once I get this, I'll be happy. I can't tell you how many times I still hear that. It's like, oh yeah, once I get this role, or once I find my partner or my future partner, once we buy this house, once this happens, it's like, if this happens, then that happens. If this happens, then I'll be happy. Then I'll feel fulfilled. No, the time now is to feel happy and to feel fulfilled. And the things that you want will come into your life more. It's something called be, do, have. You can't have the success, you can't have the money, the status, the physique, until you be that person first. So you have to be happy, be fulfilled, and then the things that you want will come into your life. Most people don't have a reason to be unhappy. They're like, oh, just in a bad mood today. Why? I don't know, I just am. So if you don't have a reason to be unhappy, then you shouldn't need a reason to be happy. Be happy, feel good now. It's the most important thing if you want to achieve anything in your life. Now, I traveled a long time trying to quote unquote find myself. I was chasing women. I put so much of my worth in women and how many women I slept with because I was so unfulfilled and unwhole, and so I lacked so much self-esteem within myself that I just would travel, and a good night would mean that I found some lady to spend the night with. That was what I based my worth off, because I didn't feel like I was worthy on the inside. I chased material things, I traveled the world, my life looked amazing from the outside, but on the inside, I was burning. On the inside, I didn't want to be here anymore. On the inside, I was like, I'm done with this living business. And I think a lot of men go through that. And a lot of men, unfortunately, fall victim and they can't get out of that, or they believe that they can't get out of it. But what I've also learned, that life will never give you challenges that you can't overcome. You won't get a problem that you can't overcome. A lot of men, unfortunately, think that they can't. But they can. And also it's very socially acceptable now to, just go, you know what, I've had enough, I'm going to end my life. And I feel like I'm qualified to talk about this because I went through it. I was moments away from not being here. And so the things that I learned and the myths that I went through, take them from me. It's my gift to you. So the truth is, external things don't fix internal holes. That's a rider or a downer. External wins don't fix internal holes. And the lesson that I learned is, after achieving things I still felt empty. Well, what I perceived achieving things, what I put out into the world. And that was the scariest part. Being like, you know what? I've just worked in the mines and, building construction sites, fly in, fly out. And I bought a property, and then I bought this place that I wanted to live at in South Brisbane. And I was like, life's good, but I still felt empty. It didn't do anything. I've been to 38 countries now. A lot of the times it was there just to party and find myself, as I mentioned. But I did all those things, and I still felt empty and hollow and alone within. And that was the scariest part, because I'm like, is this all life is for? Is this all life is? But I realized that no external goal could fix me. It could not fix this internal misalignment that I had. And that forced me to go within, for real this time. When you go within, you don't need to go without. So if I can offer you a different way, and think about building the internal alignment first, and then build the life that you want after that. Focus on working on yourself and feeling as good, healing your unresolved, unconscious emotions and beliefs and thoughts and programming. And then the life that you build will be so much easier, because you'll be building from a place of abundance rather than a place of lack and scarcity and fear. And it will make such a big difference in your life. And this leads me to myth number 4. I'm weak if I feel too much. This one's a big one for men. At school, when I was in primary school, I remember, I can't remember if it was, I probably cried at some point, but I know other boys did. And as soon as anyone cried, it was like you would be teased. You'd be called gay, you would be called a pussy, you would be teased, and you would never live it down. I can remember there was one guy, I can't remember his name at primary school, but he was quite soft. He seemed to cry all the time. Well, that's what we perceived as kids. He cried all the time, and he had literally no friends. He was bullied. He had literally no friends. And I think back now, and I'm like, poor kid. But it was because everyone else, bullies hurt people. That's a whole conversation for another day. But if you were crying, if you were taught, just suck it up as a kid, then you're going to be like, well, I'm weak then if I cry or if I feel too much, because feelings are very feminine. Masculine is, it's okay, everything's fine. And so we learn to suppress things. And so this emotional suppression is why men explode, why they numb out, why they burn their life down, and why they burn the bridges, why they snap and explode. It's because that emotional suppression. And you'll be surprised how much you do suppress. We do a lot of breath work in some of our events and programs, and I can't tell you how many times guys have these emotional releases of the suppressed stuff that they have, and then they have tears running down their eyes. And it's the first time they've been able to cry in years. It's because they've let go of that suppression that's been, pushed down for so long, which then you just feel more freer, you feel lighter, because you're not trying to push things down. And I know, I shut down all anger. I grew up with what I perceived my father was quite angry, so I was like, well, anger's bad, so I'm gonna suppress that. Sadness is bad because I get teased and bullied, so I'm gonna suppress that too. Loneliness, I don't wanna feel that because it feels like shit. I'm gonna suppress that, and the best way to suppress these things is put stuff in my mouth to push it back down and distract me. And I thought that's what made me solid, not so much the eating, but, pushing it down and pushing to the side and not feeling it and being like, what, I can do this, I can handle this. I thought that's what made me solid, but it made me cold. It made me isolated. It made me disconnected. So learning to feel without folding, learning to feel anger without having to run away or feeling like I need to explode or just, not being able to handle the situation. And also being able to feel sad without the emotional outburst coming out. There was a few times in my life I went to funerals and something just triggered me and I just lost it, like absolutely lost it. Like I was in tears, shaking tears, and it was just all this suppressed stuff that was just finally being able to get released, and I couldn't hold it back. And I was like, what is wrong with me in these senses? It's like everyone's just kind of doing whatever, and here I am like a bubbling mess. But it was just all that suppression was getting released, and it felt amazing afterwards. Maybe there was a bit of shame afterwards. This was going back, 5-6 years now. But I realized that you've got to work through this instead of shutting down, instead of suppressing, and you don't realize how much you actually suppress until you start working through these things. And that's when I felt strong, when I started doing this. I used to be quite strong physically, quite strong mentally. I could push myself through a lot of mental challenges, but I was very weak emotionally. And it wasn't until I built that emotional strength, that emotional resilience, and that emotional intelligence that then everything just changed in my life. And it's a constant process. The feeling is the healing. If you can't feel it, you can't heal it. And if you can't feel it, you suppress it or you project it onto the external world. So feeling isn't a weakness. Being owned by your emotions is. Emotional mastery equals strength, not emotional suppression and just going, you know what, I don't feel, I'm good, life's good. That's not someone being strong. If I hear that from a man, I'm like, you're just too fearful to feel your emotions, which is fine. No judgment. It's just what's going on. And this leads me on to myth number 5. I don't have time to slow down. Now, before I got into this, I was working in construction before I got into helping men and starting the business that we have now for over 5 years, depending when you're watching this. I was working in construction and I was running some pretty major jobs. There was a $250 million job, a big bridge that we were working on, and we were doing the bit over the water. It was about 30 meters high, massive project. And I was always pushing forward. I was getting a bonus for how much we got done. And I just kind of was always pushing forward. And it was just consuming my mind, and I realized that it was a distraction. It was like, I don't have time to do this or to sit around to do this. I've got to be busy. I've got to do this. I don't have time. I used to wear busy like a badge. Or like it was like, yes, I'm busy. How are you? I'm busy. How's everything going? Yeah, busy. Good, but busy. And it was like this badge of honor. It's like I had to be busy, but I realized that the busyness was a distraction. I was just kind of like running on fumes the whole time. And I actually reached a point where I couldn't get out of bed one day because I was so exhausted. And what I've learned is that you don't have time not to do things. Running on fumes, you're inefficient. You're not leading yourself properly. You're not leading others properly. You're sloppy. You're sloppy in leadership. You're burning out and you're making poor decisions. So you do have time to slow down, to rest. There's a story of two guys, right? And they're chopping wood. And there's one guy and he's just chopping wood all day, just constantly chopping wood. And he goes, I don't have time to stop. I don't have time to rest. I've just got to keep chopping. And then there's this other guy who chops wood for an hour and then he sits back and he relaxes and he sharpens his axe. And then he gets up again after an hour and starts chopping, and then he sits back down again and he eats and relaxes and fuels his body and he sharpens his axe. And he gets twice as much wood chopped as the guy who just goes, I've got to just keep doing it the whole time. I don't have time to stop. I've just got to keep going. Why? Because he had time to rest, to sharpen himself, to fuel his self. And if we take this into our context, it's like he has time to rest, to fuel his mind and his self as well, sharpen up that blade and keep going. You're so much more efficient. And so if you feel like you're always busy, take time. There's a quote by Gandhi who said, I have so much to do today, I better meditate for 2 hours instead of 1. And a lot of people, when they think about that, they're like, that doesn't make any logical sense for me. But if you do get this, you go, wow, I can be so much more efficient. A lot of us, we're just busy, but we're not productive. So be mindful if you're busy and you're productive. You may as well spend some time doing something you love because you'll be more productive in the things that you do. As I said, I used to wear that like a badge, being busy, always wanting to get things done. But my decisions were rushed. Well, don't get me wrong, I got so much done. However, it was just like this constant fight or flight that I was in. It was just like constant on edge, being like, what's next? Trying to squeeze every minute out of everything. And I was just causing myself stress and suffering. My decisions were rough. Fortunately enough, all the decisions that I made were good. We didn't really make any, mistakes on that job. But my relationships suffered as well from everyone. I felt burnt out. I felt disconnected. I wasn't even connecting with anyone outside of work. But slowing down gave me power. It gave me clarity, and it gave me direction on where I wanted to go. It's like, I always say this, it's like if you're always looking down, just working, just doing what you need to do, you don't have time to step back and go, you know what, where am I actually going? And that's what happens for a lot of people in life. They're just getting through every single day, just going, today, just got to get through the day, get through the week, get through the month. Holidays is coming up soon, or the weekend's coming up soon. Head down, get to the weekend, and then look up and go, what am I going to do this weekend? I don't know. I don't really have any plans because I haven't had time to plan it, perceived time. And then the weekend passed and it's back and down again, and they just don't have a chance to they don't allow themselves, they don't think about it. They're so focused on doing, they don't take a chance to step back and have a look. That's why it's so important. We spend, a lot of time, days in some of our programs where it's like, right, we're going to take this day or 2 or 3 and we're going to plan your life. Where are you going? With my high-level one-on-one clients, I spend 8 hours breaking through their internal blocks and limitations, and then doing this master planning for life. We're like, where do we want to go? We spend 8 hours planning a life, which no one ever does in their lifetime. The more that you can do this, the more you slow down, the more you recalibrate your system, the way you feel better within yourself, and then you create power that moves things. And it's not through busy work, it's actually by production and actually getting things done. And that leads me onto the final myth number 6. This is just how life is. At one stage I was working down in Adelaide, and I remember I was walking along the beach and I just sat down there, and there's something about the beach, it's very calming for me. And I was just looking out to the water, and I had these thoughts of like, is this all life is? Is this all I'm meant for? Is this all that I'm going to be doing? I'm just going to be working and flying around or just spending different times in different locations, just working and not really having any time off, and not being able to get into a relationship because that was my excuse of like I didn't have time, or I couldn't be there all the time. And that was just a way for me to justify what was going on. But it was that thing that was there. It was like I started questioning myself and questioning reality and be like, there's so much more for me, and I'm sure you might have been there too. And you might be at that point right now going, is this all life is? Like surely there's more to life than what I'm living right now. And what I realized is that just accepting the normal as truth is not the way to live. I always say it's like, stop being average, be great. It's so easy to be great these days. You think about the saying, we are only as strong as our weakest link. We all know that. So as a society as a whole, we are only as strong as our weakest link. Now, no judgments, but there's some pretty weak links, right? So it means that we're anchored there as a society, and this is not that kind of conversation, but it's the same as you. You are anchored at your weakest link. So if you just keep working through your weakest links, you're going to then build a life that you never thought possible. It's so easy to stand out. It's so easy to be great these days. I've said this before, but 0.004% of the population has abs and a millionaire. It's so easy to be great. It's so easy to be great. Getting abs is not hard. It just takes a bit of work, just takes a bit of discipline. Making $1 million is not hard. It just takes a bit of effort. You've just got to work, and you've got to educate yourself and give yourself 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It's not hard. It just takes effort. And this is the same in any area of life. So if you want your life to be different, you have to change things in your life. And first you have to get angry at your current situation, and you've got to get hungry. Les Brown talks about that. You've got to be hungry. This question, sitting on the beach that day, it lit this fire in me, being like, no, there's so much more. And I started dreaming. I started going, what else is there for me? It lit this fire inside of me. It woke me up, and I stopped tolerating average. I started training twice a day. I started diving into personal development work. And this is where the whole entrepreneur journey started for me. I started reading books. I started educating myself. I started a little online business. It was a failure, didn't go anywhere, but at least I started. And I just kept moving forward. And that fire that I'd lit by getting angry with my current situation was what really changed. So this is how my life is. This is just the way it is the biggest myth ever. And if you can understand this, you can then rewrite your story rather than accepting that the story you're living is the one that you have to stay by. You know, you can close that book, close that chapter, and you can rewrite your new one. Most people are writing or living by someone else's story that they've written for themselves. It's like someone else has written your script to your story because you haven't done it for yourself. If you are not building your own dreams, if you're not writing your own life, someone else will write it for you. And you will just be a victim to whatever they say. You won't be able to do anything. Whatever the story is, that's what happens. So build your own life. Build your own story. What I realized is that it's just, not rewriting, just living the way I was not going to get me to where I wanted to go. So those are the 6 myths. Every myth that you believe becomes your mental prison. Think about that. Every myth that you believe, anything that's untrue that you believe, then becomes a mental prison and you stay stuck there and you don't know what's going on. This is why we're like, we don't know what's going on. We can't express, we can't feel things. We're just like, I know there's something going on, but I don't know what. It's probably because you're telling yourself a lie. You're telling yourself a myth. And every truth that you choose to believe from now on becomes a weapon. So maybe you just have to make it, because a belief is nothing but a decision. You just have to make a decision like, my life's going to be different from now on. I'm going to be better. I'm going to do different things. And you will then become a weapon. You will train your mind every single day. The truth is that the key's always been in your hand. The key to your freedom is always been in your hand. It's always been in your mind. It's like you have that key. You're not stuck. You've just been lied to by the world, by everyone else, and probably by yourself more likely than anyone else. The voice inside of your head is the most influential person that you'll ever listen to in your life. So if you hear a lie and then you start telling yourself that lie, you're gonna believe it. So you're not broken, you're just buried. And you know better. You know because you wouldn't be watching this. And so now it's your time to rise, and I'll see you on the next video. You made it to the end of the video. You are the true top 1%. Now, don't forget to like and comment below what you got, your biggest takeaway was. I love hearing that. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't like, the biggest insight, realization. I read them all, and I like seeing what you got from this. Now, if you'd also like to grab my copy of my free ebook, 4 Rules Any Man Can Follow to Radically Transform His Life, click on the link down below in the description in this video. And if you love this video, you can check out some of the other videos on here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.